think this has nail glue in it. Come on, you got one more use out of you just for today. Come on, baby. Hi, Les. We're gonna shout out for Les. If y'all see the back of my head today, no, you didn't. Like, actually, no, you didn't. Nail set speedrun. How much time I got? I got 3 minutes. Put on a full nail set. Oh my god. Are we excited? I honestly, before these, I try to do, like predictions and stuff, but today I just have no time. I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody. I know, like, the vibes are totally off right now. We will fix this. We will... Everybody hype in chat. Let's get some hype in chat for the first Nintendo Direct of the year. Are we excited? Hi, Goose Baby. You made it. You sure did, baby. I'm barely making it. I was fully gonna wear something else different. Kiyoshi, hello. Happy to see you. Baby Bangs, how you doing? Thank you, everybody, for coming out to my co-streams. Thank you for joining me as your live on the scene correspondent of the Nintendo Direct for twitch.tv/NemesisNetwork. I am here live on the scene presenting the Nintendo Direct for all of your viewing pleasure with live commentary and comments and slayage. And plenty of Monster. I got some Monster over here. My 24-pack of Monster arrived today. Can you believe? Thank you to Anon that bought me that off Throne. If you want to buy me a gift, because I am a gorgeous, stunning individual doing tons of stuff here on the Nemesis Network for your viewing pleasure for free, you can go over to Throne, use !gift in the chat, and buy me a present. And my birthday's coming up, so why don't you go do that if you want to? Also, while we're waiting, you can go over to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel has all the VODs and replays, so you can watch it anytime and keep your progress. If you turn off the stream, go over there, NemesisLacroix on YouTube. I'm NemesisLacroix on all social media handles. So you can find me everywhere, except for over here on Twitch. I am Nemesis Network, because I run the network around here, baby. Can you tell I'm like shaking and nervous? Oh, I used the wrong nail for the pinky finger. Oh. Due to COVID release date. Yeah, they usually do these for these presentations. We're starting. I got one nail left. I got one nail left. Live on the scene. We are here with the first Nintendo Direct of the year. Is this Fire Emblem? Is this Fire Emblem? No way! Yeah! Oh. Oh, they're adding the characters from Three Houses. Okay.
The cycle of this world. I will not allow it to perish with you.
I'm trying to get this off the bar. Get away. Oh my god!
The irrational power structure that shackles foemen.
I'll take it. I'll take any Fire Emblem content. I will take anything with Fire Emblem in it.
This is the path we must walk.
Hi everybody, thank you for coming in, tuning live on the scene. I am Nemesis Network covering the Nintendo Direct, first one of the year on February 22nd, I think it is. We are the first game in, the presentation just started. We have Fire Emblem Three Hopes, which is a sequel to Fire Emblem Heroes, which is a Dynasty Warriors type of... Oh, it's February 9th. Whatever. It's a Dynasty Warriors style type video game. Should be very interesting if you played Fire Emblem Three Houses. Great content. I'm so excited for this game. It looks amazing.
Revenge is not a thing you take for someone else.
Do you get to play as Sothis? I will gag.
You seek revenge to slake your rage and heal your wounded heart.
I agree. I was wishing it was a core game, but I'll take it.
Whatever that you must.
I'll take anything we can that is Fire Emblem. Kitten, thank you so much for 16 months, baby.
Hello,
Welcome
everyone.
to the Direct.
I'm Shinya Takahashi, and I'll be your guide for today's Nintendo Direct. What you just saw was the trailer for the Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes game. We hope you'll look forward to a different story set in the same universe as Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Let's see the
Oh, there's
first
a story?
batch of Nintendo Switch headlines.
Oh, we're already going into it. Oh my god.
The Orange Star Nation needs you.
All right, Fire Emblem Slay. We started top of the stream.
More intel on the
Hype
Advanced
train.
Wars
We got a
1+2
hype train going for the
reboot
Nintendo
campaign.
Direct. Can we keep it going?
In
Can
the
we keep
first
the
campaign,
support
Advanced
going
Wars,
in the chat?
you
Everybody,
advise
thank you
a
for coming. I put
colorful
rings
cast
on. I
of
put
commanding
nails on.
officers
I put a
who
wig
use their
on.
abilities in
A different
vibrant
wig. I know it doesn't
turn-based
look different. I know it probably looks
Commanding
like a
officer
wig.
is now voiced.
We're not gonna talk about it. I wanted to try something new. I wanted to be quirky, so we're gonna be happy that I'm wearing a different hairstyle. Because I was gonna wear the same fucking hairstyle I wear every stream. So
more commanding officers and
y'all
more
are lucky.
diverse terrain can be leveraged for additional tactical opportunities.
I'm gonna get comfy in my
like
chair if you don't
blasting through
mind.
pipelines to cross into enemy territory. In both campaigns, you can fast forward gameplay and reset your turns for a smoother tactical experience. Flex your strategic muscles.
While we talk about this game that nobody gives a shit about, I just want to let everybody know that I do live coverage of every single live press conference, live on the scene. See, I'm live on the scene. I'm live. I'm here. I'm actually at Nintendo. I'm live on the scene. I do live coverage of every single game direct presentation that you can think of. I do PAX, I do E3, I do Nintendo Directs, I do PlayStation presentations. I do it all. So come over to my channel if you want to have a little commentary and a little fun in the chat for all of these presentations and fun. My nails are coming off.
In No Man's Sky, every star is the light of a distant sun.
Thank you all so much for the biddies, the subs, the everything. Thank you all so much.
Procedurally generated universe.
Everyone loves Brian. Thank you for gifting a tier 1
discover
sub.
Extraordinary lands.
We are at 178 out of
Never been
200
seen
subs for our monthly
and
sub
may
goal.
never
Look
be
at that,
seen
guys.
again.
We did it again. This is
survive,
our second month in a row
you must
getting our
craft
sub
your
goal
own
of
tools
200.
and
Thank
even
you
your own
all
place to
so
live.
much for rewarding my hard work.
In this living and breathing universe, trade convoys travel between stars. Factions vie
Hi,
for
Sam.
territory. Pirates hunt unwary travelers.
Hi,
The
Kay.
authorities are ever
Kay,
watching.
hoping we get a release date for Majora's Mask. If they release it tonight, we're gonna play it tonight, baby.
Actions have consequences.
They better fucking give us a release date.
Fighter.
So glad to have someone reporting on the scene. I traveled all the way to Nintendo Switch headquarters to get live on the scene.
No Man's Sky
Just
lands
for
on
you,
Nintendo
chat.
Switch
Just
this
for you.
summer.
So if you want to pay for my plane, my travel expenses, you can gift a couple subs. Oh my god! Mario Strikers! Holy shit! Holy fuck! We won! We won! Hallelujah! It's been 10 years since the last Mario Strikers game. We have a new Mario Strikers game live here on the scene. I'm Nemesis Network announcing a new Mario Strikers game. Look at this, baby. We won. The gays won.
Mario Strikers Battle League. Prepare for Strike, a 5-on-5
Awesome! This direct is stacked already! Mario Strikers! It has been 10 years since our last Mario Strikers game! Can we get some hype in the chat, y'all? This is a slayage! This is a penis slay!
The main rule in this sport is to rule the field.
I'm
Try to
gagged.
score more goals than your opponents.
Yo!
There are two things to keep in mind that
I'm
help you
gagged.
with your strategies. First, the gear you equip.
Me and Talos were talking about this
changes
last
not
night. We
only
were
your
like, let's
perks, but
go.
Also your stats like speed, strength, and
Where's
pass
Birdo?
accuracy.
Yo, they got
That
customization?
you see fit. Second, the Hyper Strike. To activate this shot, grab an
Where's
orb
Birdo?
that appears on
Give
the
us
field
Birdo.
and charge it
Give
while
us
your
Birdo.
opponents are distracted.
Give us Birdo. Where's my trans
Get
goddess?
the net, and you'll score not one, but 2 goals.
Thank Thank you all so much for a level 3 hype train already. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate y'all being out. Coming to all of my live conference. Oh! There's no Birdo on the cast list.
Individual matches. Online play will have an online
Cancel the game. Oh wait, she was in the back.
Club and compete for placement in the rankings. Up to 20 players can join.
Yo, look at
the club.
Toad with his little
So
helmet.
create your own and invite friends and family to play alongside you, or join an existing one owned by other players. Try to become the world's top club.
I'm gagged that they're giving us a new Mario Strikers. Who's playing with this? Who's playing this with me when this comes out? House Music? K Lucky Dog? Lesbiana? Kiyoshi? I'm looking at all of yous.
Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop.
The latest iteration of the Mario Strikers series is coming to Nintendo Switch. We hope you're excited for this anything goes battle soccer game.
That's gaggy.
Next, please take a look at this.
What? I feel like they're gonna gag us today because that was Is this gonna be Mario Kart Double Dash? It's a Mario Kart. It's a Mario Kart. It's a Mario Kart. I feel it. It's Mario Kart. It's Mario. Oh, never mind. Yep, this is Mario Kart. Yay, they're bringing it back Salmon Run. I'm happy they're bringing back Salmon Run. This Mario Kart looks great, y'all. A fish stick? I've had a few husbands. I feel like you can't show this, like, after Mario Strikers. Like... you can't show us... Like, you have to keep going. Yeah, this is a horror game. Can we get some hype in the chat for how gorgeous I look today? Not feeling her. The Splatoon, no, I'm not, it's not giving. I just want to let everybody know, also, if you're new here to the Nemesis Network, I'm here 5 times a week in full drag for your viewing pleasure, for free. You get a couple ads, but if you want to subscribe for $5, then you can do that. If you have Amazon Prime, you can use your Amazon Prime to get a subscription here on the channel for free. I'm here 5 days a week. We play everything here. Pokemon, we have so many different games that we play. I'm a variety retro streamer. If you like nostalgia, if you like GameCube, if you like Nintendo 64, if you like it all, come hang out with us. We're here almost every day of the week.
Or swim. Splatoon 3 will launch this summer. We hope you'll look forward to future updates.
Thank you, Raya, baby.
Let's move on to more Nintendo Switch headlines.
I feel like nothing's gonna beat Strikers. I could eat my words.
Users at the ready.
Yo, this is Waluigi's solo game, look. This is it. This is it. Yo, that's Waluigi, let's go! And a shooting star, thank you so much for the subscription! First time. What the fuck is this?
Tactical RPG, you'll pilot weaponized machines called Vanzers and lead
Weaponize
your
this
to victory. Gain the upper hand in battle by aiming for enemy parts to destroy.
What was that?
Mix and match various weapons and parts to customize your Vanzer.
While we have some air to speak, you can also join the Discord. Use the Discord as you please. It's pretty quiet in there, but it's really relaxing. It's not too
and in the future,
busy or like overwhelming. You can join the Discord now.
Also launch on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, bathroom break.
Get set for a high-octane Disney and Pixar combat racer.
They're gonna show this and not show us Mario Kart.
From the creators of the Asphalt series comes rip-roaring racing action across Disney and Pixar-inspired racetracks. Race as a legendary roster of characters on high-speed circuits, using each one's special ability to battle for victory across the finish line. Choose Mickey Mouse for symphonic speed, Sully for monstrous power, or Mulan for explosive maneuvers. Each racer also possesses powerful ultimate skills. Perfect for
Yo, if we make it to 200 subs, then we'll get a new Mario Kart. I'm on the scene at Nintendo right now. I'll make sure they give it to us.
Regularly, bringing more exciting Disney and Pixar characters, circuits, karts, and more. Plus, enjoy cross-platform play as well as split-screen and online
yeah, if we, I will be in the new Smash Bros. They're gonna make a new game, and it's just me.
This summer. Dive into these classic franchises on Nintendo Switch.
Oh, retro.
Unleash the power of the Force in this classic Star Wars
Is this thing on?
As Darth Vader's secret apprentice.
What the?
You'll use devastating force powers and lightsaber combos as you hunt down Jedi Masters on iconic planets. Upgrade abilities like Force Grip and Force Repulse, then combine them for even more destructive combos. Use button controls or opt for motion controls, enhanced from the original Wii version.
What was that?
You can also duel locally with a friend to determine who is the galaxy's most powerful Jedi. Star Wars: The Force Unleashed launches on Nintendo Switch April 20th. Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop. The complete saga of legendary assassins
Assassin's Creed
awaits in 3 critically acclaimed Assassin's Creed games. Explore Renaissance
I love
Italy
ass.
and 16th century Constantinople.
Sin's Creed.
Interact with historical figures and discover secrets of the Creed across 3 games, 2 bonus short films, and DLC. Plus, take advantage of enhanced features for the Nintendo Switch system on the go, including touchscreen controls, HD Rumble, and
Can I ask the audience who's excited for this?
Assassin's Creed: The Ezio Collection launches on Nintendo Switch.
Nobody? Okay, moving on.
Pilot mobile suits in dynamic action RPG battles. Strange incidents called breaks are occurring across the Gundam universe. Find out what's causing them and restore the proper timeline. You'll lead 3 mobile suits in battle. Enhance each suit with parts to improve their power. You can also battle alongside friends in online co-op multiplayer. SD Gundam Battle
Emily Nicole 412, thank you so much for subscribing. We are at 182 out of 200 for the month. First time subscriptions.
In the triumphant return of this RPG classic. A remaster of the acclaimed RPG Chrono Cross
Oh, this is
coming
good.
to the Nintendo Switch system.
This is a pop. I know Chlora's gonna love
One
this.
fateful day, the protagonist Surge wanders into an alternate world.
Let me call Chlora.
Somewhat resembles
Chlora,
his home world. He finds that he no
your game's
longer
getting a little
exists.
remake.
How did this happen? What is this mysterious another world?
This game looks cute. I like this remake. I would actually play this. This is pretty solid.
Over 40 characters can join your party. Depending on the choices you make, the allies who accompany
It's like a kinda sleigh. It's not like a sleigh. It's like a kinda sleigh. You know what I mean?
Like the ability to turn off enemy encounters.
What time is it?
And a newly
much time we got
enhanced soundtrack.
We halfway in.
Plus, Radical Dreamers, originally released on the Satellaview, is included. Experience the origins of Chrono Cross in this text-based adventure. Chrono Cross, the Radical Dreamers edition.
Well, that's soon.
Dashes and slashes its way onto Nintendo Switch April 7th. Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop.
Ava. It's Kirby. It's the boy. It's Kirby. Yo, look at these guys. Yo, Kirby, you better fuck them up. 4. Kirby eats a car? Bro, it's fucking eating. car! Why did Kirby just eat an entire fucking car?
Latest unforgettable 3D.
Yo, this game's gonna slay.
Kirby and
Game of the year, I fear.
It
Not that I
takes
fear
place
that,
in a
but
mysterious
Kirby can
world
eat me.
with an
So
unusual
true.
Mix of nature and civilization.
I feel like I'd be a bestie in
To
Kirby.
rescue
I'd be
the
like, yeah,
kidnapped Waddle
hey.
Dees, Kirby sets off on a new adventure.
We have to save the Waddle Dees. Oh, look at this little, like, little park.
Introducing
Don't.
Mouthful Mode.
What
A
mode?
car to zoom around.
What?
A vending machine to attack with juice cans.
What?
What was that? Or become a piercing cone.
A what mode?
With Mouthful Mode, new actions will be
Please stop saying Mouthful Mode.
Hails.
Can we collectively as a community make a new
Enjoy
name for
exploring
this?
With new moves, different from
What?
copy
Who was in the
abilities.
development and was like, yeah,
Kirby can even weaponize a mouthful.
Mouthful
of water
Mode
like this.
sounds like a great idea for a kid's game. If my kid
Kirby
came up to
rescues
me
Waddle Dees.
and was
Waddle
like,
D-Town will continue to grow.
hey
and more
mommy, I'm
resources
playing
will become
Kirby and I just
available.
unlocked Mouthful Mode, I'd be like, give me that fucking give me that DS.
At
I'd
Waddle
chuck
Dee's
it.
Weapon Shop, familiar copy abilities can be evolved.
The auto mod is going crazy right now because of this Deep
Evolve
Throat
copy
mode.
abilities to expand
What was it
Kirby's
called?
range of
It's not
attacks.
called Deep Throat mode, I'm so sorry.
They'll also change Kirby's
I literally
appearance and make him
actually called it Deep Throat
more
mode.
powerful.
Kirby Deep Throat
Some
mode.
copy
The gays are gonna be
abilities
up on
strong
Twitter about
evolved
this after the
forms.
live. I can't. We can't. Is this who we are as a community?
A new adventure awaits our pink puffball.
Furry! Sexy mommy furry milfy!
What are these
Did you see
enemies
her?
trying to do? Can Kirby restore peace to this world? Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Not you at
launches on the
TwitchCon,
Nintendo
mouthful
Switch
mode. I
system
can't.
March 25th.
We have PAX East.
Pre-orders
I'm
are
kidding.
available now
Please
on
don't.
Nintendo eShop.
That was Kirby and the Forgotten Land, launching later next month. Please look forward to its release.
We'll be playing it, by the way. If you want to see
Take a look
gameplay,
at
you can
some
come to my
more
channel.
Nintendo Switch headlines.
We play all the new Nintendo games on release. Also a little tidbit.
任天堂ディレクトをご覧の皆さん、こんにちは。
Who the
バッターの
fuck
大
are
谷翔平
you?
ですピッチャーの大谷翔平です。
Get away
任
from
天
me.
堂スイッチ上で今回初めて MLB 打賞22が楽しめるようになりました。それではこちらをご覧ください。
That's right, Otani-san. MLB
Bathroom
The Show
break.
is coming to Nintendo Switch. That means you can play modes like Road to the Show and Diamond Dynasty on your Nintendo Switch. But that's not all. You can even play Exhibition with a single Joy-Con controller. With cross progression, you can also earn and use content on any platform where MLB The Show
Who is this
22
wannabe
is
Danny
available.
DeVito on the mic?
Take your progress on
Excuse
the
me,
go
let me
with
say that
you
again.
on
Who is
Nintendo
who let
Switch.
Danny DeVito on the
Friends
mic?
that play MLB The Show 22 online matches on other consoles? No need to worry. You can invite them and play online.
I like that they were like, no need to worry. None of us were worrying. No one's
I
buying
knew
it.
you were a true two-way player, but this is ridiculous. Sheesh.
Not this game's all yours. Yeah, this is my favorite game.
You're gonna have your hands full of games with these collections.
Or a mouthful mode.
3 Kingdom Hearts collections are almost here. From Kingdom Hearts to Kingdom Hearts 3 and the
Girl,
Rewind DLC.
just get them on the
Every entry is
PS4.
coming to
It's not that
Nintendo Switch
serious.
as
They're
cloud
literally
versions
$7
that can
on the
be played while
PS4.
connected to the internet. Relive or get to know these heart-filled adventures alongside Sora, Donald, Goofy, and more for the first time in TV, tabletop, or handheld mode. Kingdom Hearts Integrum Masterpiece for Cloud, containing all 3 game collections.
I'm wearing
soars
rings
onto
today.
Nintendo Switch tomorrow.
I'm not
collection's
engaged. I'm
cloud
actually
version
looking for a
will also
husband,
be
so-
individually available on Nintendo eShop.
Yeah. Oh my god!
Coming to Nintendo Switch.
Oh my god! Oh my
Across
god!
dreamy
Oh my
side-scrolling
god!
levels,
Oh my god!
You'll run,
Oh
jump,
my god!
and hover while firing wind bullets to grab and throw enemies. Use
Oh
each level
my
surroundings
god!
to
I'm
your
literally gonna
advantage.
start crying. I used to play this game with my dad, and
Klonoa
you
Ports
can't.
included.
I'm literally gonna
Take
start
on these
crying.
great
I'm like dead
adventures
ass.
Klonoa.
This is the first ever video game I played with my dad. We rented it from Blockbuster when I was a kid, and you can't find it anywhere because it's like a Japanese game, and like it's like $1,000 because you can't find it anywhere. Oh my god!
In these
Dad's stream, he's dead, so no.
Gun is your key to surviving imprisonment in a mysterious place. Create portals and warp to other areas to find cake? Still unconfirmed. You can pass through portals, and so can cubes, lasers, and
it's fine. It's a long time ago. It's fine.
The sequel
gotta make content over it,
online,
right?
And split screen
trauma.
Ooh, my coffee enema is kicking in.
Neither is the sentient robot monitoring.
That made no sense to the context, but I wanted to use the new soundboards.
Collection warps onto Nintendo Switch this year. A classic comes alive.
The willow pill.
Oh, this is gonna be boring. I don't care. I'm literally gonna cry. Like, I can't believe they're releasing Klonoa. Like, that, like, actually. Like, I'm shaking. That, like, seriously, that game means so much to me. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, it was, like, I remember going to Blockbuster with my dad, and, like, it was just, like, a whole thing. It was, like, my first time ever playing video games after Donkey Kong Country for the Nintendo 64. I know it's, like, for the Wii, but, like, there was a huge gap because we didn't have money. We were poor.
A tribesman comes of age in a world without words. The Wild West, a wanderer with a bounty.
He also bought me Bikini Zombie Slayers.
Imperial China.
It showed me Kelly Kelly
for a worthy successor. Twilight of Edo, Japan. A shinobi undertakes an important secret mission. Present day, a martial artist strives to become the strongest there ever was. The near future, a youth with psychic powers takes a stand against evil. The distant future, a newly built robot is swept up in a tragedy in space. What other stories are on the horizon?
I'm like, oh my god. I gotta text my mom about that.
In death.
Are they gonna tell us a release date of Majora's Mask or what?
On Nintendo Switch, July 22nd.
I almost did mess up my makeup when Klonoa came out.
Begin today on Nintendo.
I almost like actually did. Who cares?
How was that? Next up is this.
What time is it? Can we get a time check? What is this?
It's a new iteration of the Wii Sports series. Nintendo Switch Sports. Please take a look.
Here are the sports included in the Nintendo Switch sports game.
Let's go!
You might recognize these three from past Wii sports games.
Let's go!
Tennis.
Let's fucking go!
Swing the Joy-Con controller at the right time.
We're streaming this on release. Clip it now. I'll play it on the release day.
Or give it a little curve.
Yeah, let's fight in bowling. I'll beat all your asses in bowling. I'm so good at bowling.
Knock your opponent off the
Yo, they have this one! We did this last year on my birthday for the first time.
Plus, 3 additional sports are joining the lineup.
Also, while this is on, while we're talking about this, my birthday stream's coming up. We're doing a 24-hour stream trying to get to a certain amount of subs. I know we're talking about subs a lot. Doing a birthday stream on March 11th. That's my birthday. I'm going to be streaming, I'm going to be sleeping, I'm going to be getting in drag, I'm going to be doing it all.
Controller to the leg strap accessory included
come hang out, March 11th.
Version of the game, you can play shootout mode with intuitive kicking motions. Badminton. Control your shots left and right while keeping the shuttlecock in the air.
Save the date.
Unleash powerful smash shots to gain the upper hand. Finally, volleyball. Use a Joy-Con controller to serve, bump,
to serve,
set, and spike the ball. The game supports local play with family and friends on one Nintendo Switch system, as well as online play across all sports.
Yes! Online play!
Play against friends online, or opt for random matchmaking.
This is gonna be so good for community nights!
The players you'll face.
This is gonna be so fun for community nights!
Try taking on this challenge.
When does this come out?
How was that? Since I'm already here, I'd like to show you some gameplay of one of the newly added sports, volleyball.
Girl.
Mr. Takahashi! Oh, Hello there, everyone. I'm Yoshiaki Koizumi from
Yeah, this is cool and all, but can we move on? We got stuff to show.
Ready to play.
You have stuff to
I'll
show.
play some volleyball online together with Mr. Koizumi. Do you have your wrist strap ready?
Yes, of course. I've got plenty of space around me as well.
I don't. My ceiling's like right here. I'm touching my ceiling right now, actually.
We'll be including some live commentary throughout our match.
You're lying to me.
All right. Oh, we're doing this? Volleyball, a newly added sport in Nintendo
Girl,
Switch
I didn't come here to watch a live stream.
Today from the Takahashi Koizumi team. It's Koizumi
Listen to me.
With Takahashi up front.
Takahashi? When is Majora's Mask coming?
How will the opposing team react? Takahashi makes the block. Another one's coming. Koizumi saves it. A setup in the air, and here comes the spike. The other team saves it and fights back. And they score. Takahashi didn't quite get it in time. All right, well, it's okay. It's okay. The game's not over. Now the other team serves. Koizumi receives it. Takahashi sets it up. Koizumi spikes, but it goes right toward the opponent. Here's another attack. Now's their chance. They get the ball, and with the setup from Koizumi, Takahashi scores! They got a point with that fierce spike.
Woo! Let's stop our match here.
After all, we were in the middle of a presentation.
Yeah!
I'll be leaving now.
That was an introduction to Nintendo Switch Sports. The game launches April 29th. We're planning a free update in the summer that allows you to play soccer matches with a Joy-Con controller and the leg strap accessory. You can use the accessory to play shootout mode.
Can I just have the release date for Majora's Mask so I can plan a fucking stream? God damn it.
We're
Like,
also
Jesus
planning
Christ.
a second free update this fall that lets you enjoy golf.
Bro. They're releasing Nintendo straps.
And now, a request to everyone. To help ensure that you can all enjoy playing online, we'll be having an online playtest before the game launches to evaluate various technical
I'm
aspects.
not doing you any favors unless you release what I want.
We'd definitely like to ask
Where's
for your
Double
help.
Dash?
The online playtest will only be available for players with an active Nintendo Switch Online membership on the dates shown on screen.
Bro.
For those of you interested, please visit the
Shut
official
up.
Nintendo website for more details. Thank you. That's all I have for now about Nintendo Switch Sports. I hope you're looking forward to this game. Let's see a few more Nintendo Switch headlines.
Get those taiko drumming skills ready.
I like this game series.
The latest Taiko no Tatsujin game is coming to the Nintendo Switch system. Set in Omiko City, a sacred town for taiko drums, you'll strive to become
Yeah,
a
can we?
taiko
I'm gonna do
master,
some Earth,
along
Wind,
with
Fire, Water to
brand
get some
new
good.
character Kumo-kyun. Drum to dozens of bopping beats, including Megalovania, Gurenge,
Megalovania!
Racing into the night. And that's not all.
That's stunning, actually. I'd play it just for Megalovania.
Plus, take advantage of a
I actually have this game. I was gonna stream it, but I just haven't had the time to.
New modes have also been added for everyone to enjoy.
I know you love a good rhythm game. I do.
4 players in
We're gonna go back to Rhythm Heaven.
Or face off against each other in Great Drum Toy War. Drum to your heart's content. When Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythm Festival launches on Nintendo Switch this year. Plus, a paid in-game subscription service that gives you access to over 500 songs will be available at launch. What's new with these Nintendo Switch games? The brand new tactical RPG game Triangle Strategy is almost here. The protagonist Serenoa and his allies will be engulfed in the conflict among 3 nations. Your choices and conviction will determine their fate.
As Lord of House Wolfwood, I solemnly swear an oath by which all the shall be bound. I will never turn my back on the promise of a better world.
A new demo playable to the end of Chapter 3 will be available on Nintendo eShop later today.
I mean, I'm not really mad that there's not a lot of games coming out because I still have a big fucking schedule to do.
More Cuphead action awaits in the paid DLC, Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course. Here, you'll explore a brand new Inkwell Isle. Defeat a bevy
Yeah,
of
I
new
just want to know
bosses
where
with
Majora's
wild
Mask
personalities
is. Also,
and
is this
even
ring
wilder
expensive?
attacks. The clever Miss Chalice is a new playable character.
These look expensive.
Take down
Oh, you can't
fearsome
see them
foes
because
with
I'm so
her double
pale.
jumps, rolling dodges.
I painted my
and more.
skin pink for today's stream. Do you guys
The
love?
Delicious
Does it look
Last
good?
Course walks its way
Yes.
onto Nintendo Switch June 30th. A free update is coming to the Metroid Dread game. All it takes is one hit. Even from this. Getting hit even once causes a game over in the brutal Dread Mode difficulty.
Not one
Can you
hit
face
mode,
this new
bye.
challenge?
So you like pain?
And for players new to
Not the
Metroid
gendered
series,
chalice.
take advantage of increased recovery with the newly
I just want to
added
say thank
rookie
you to
mode.
everybody coming out for today's little presentation. I really appreciate when people come to these. These are
This
my
free
favorite type
update
of streams to
launches
do,
later
as
today.
even if they're bad. We are going to cover E3 this year, and I might even do some
second free
live,
update in
actually
April
live,
will have a
on the
boss
scene
rush mode, in
reporting
which you'll battle
of PAX
bosses
East,
continuously,
so stay
one at a
tuned
time.
for that.
Something's bound for Nintendo Switch.
Give it to us! Oh, okay, work! I want to play this, so work. Okay, but Majora's Mask. When's the release date? Girl, I don't need to see gameplay. Just show the title and move on. We have so much to cover. Let's go. Come on. I just want Majora's Mask. Isn't that too much? Is that too much to ask? I die. Okay, this is scary. What's happening? Ew! Why does he look like that? Is that supposed to be Ness? Ew. Not I made this game. So true.
Earthbound and Earthbound Beginnings will be added to Nintendo Switch Online later today.
Oh! Wait, say Majora's Mask is gonna come out later today, please. I'm literally begging you. I will suck your... I will suck... What the fuck? Where is it? Wait, what is this game? That actually looked good. Okay, but is it still gonna be $60? Because I want to play this Demon Slayer game, but it's $60 fucking dollars. Not for 60. Anybody want to buy me it? Oh. Excuse me. Not a Lego Smash game. What? What? I'm glad they snuck that in right there. Me and the homies playing Lego Brawl. They didn't even like, they literally were like, yeah, Lego Brawl.
What did you think? Here's some news from Mario Kart fans. Many of you have been enjoying the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe game since its launch in 2017. So, we've been working on remastering select courses from across the Mario Kart series, and we'll be releasing them as paid downloadable content.
What? Why?
This trailer.
Why? Why? Give us a new game!
Paid DLC courses will be coming to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This is the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course
This
Pack.
game has been out for a decade.
You may recognize some courses from past Mario Kart
we need to move on. Please.
8 courses will be released at a time over 6 waves.
No!
That's 48
No!
additional courses
I don't
we
care!
are releasing by the
Stop!
end of 2020.
I need a new game. I can't do
Courses
this.
such as Coconut Mall,
I don't care. Actually, this is kind of a serve.
Choco Mountain,
Can we just get a new game? Like, seriously?
and Tokyo Blur.
Like,
will be included in
seriously?
the first wave.
Like, come on.
Of course, you can play these courses locally and online.
Mario Kart 8, like, we've all played it for community nights for the last 7 years. We need a new Mario Kart game.
The first wave of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass will launch March 18th. Pre-orders begin today on Nintendo eShop. You can enjoy this DLC at no additional cost.
Work.
With the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion.
Work!
Purchase
Yes!
the Mario Kart 8
I get it for
Deluxe
free,
Booster Course
bitches!
Pass
Ew!
on its own.
How was that? I hope you're looking forward to the additional courses in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. This next segment will be our last announcement. Please take a look.
What is it? What is it? New Fire Album? Stunning.
Fighting in order to live, and living to fight.
This is a Xenoblade Chronicles game.
That's the way of our world. Ionios.
Tell me, what would possess you to side with them?
Yeah, this is Xenoblade.
There are enemies to kill.
I refuse to believe you're him.
I knew it. I saw this coming.
You're not enemies now.
Fine for you.
This is more, yeah, this is Xenoblade.
You
There's
could
no way.
try to move forward.
Thought this is Pokemon. Hi, Eevee. Hi, Jacob. Yeah, well, it's over.
They're his few.
I mean, all the guys look hot. Stunning.
Sword match.
Oh, that looks beautiful. So no Tomodachi Life when Miitopia sold like hotcakes, and then no Majora's Mask release date, and then they decided to remake Mario Strikers when, and then did Mario Kart maps instead of giving us a new Mario Kart game.
They'll never replace the friends we've lost. The flame clock, it has to go.
Ouroboros abhor this
Oh,
world.
serve.
They must be erased.
Yeah, no Breath of the Wild news, no Bayonetta news, nothing. Literally, 48 new tracks they could have just played in a new game. I don't even care. Yeah, that's gaggy work. I'm a Fire Emblem stan, so I'm kind of pressed, but congratulations to Xenoblade, stans. Your congrats. Slow clap.
The story of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 ties
Eat my
together
ass,
the futures
Goose.
of the worlds depicted in Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it will launch this September. I hope you'll look forward to it. That's all for today's Nintendo Direct. Thank you for watching.
Girl.
What was that?
Can I take this wig off? Work. Oh, yeah, goodbye, everybody. I meant to hide the screen. Yeah, definitely started off strong. Really strong. I mean, there were good titles in that. It's not actually bad as we're making it out to be. I would say, like, so, can we do comparisons? Let's do comparisons on my YouTube channel of all the directs that we've seen so far. So comparatively to other directs, I would say The last one last year, this one was a flop. Like, there was nothing in this. I think they announced that Breath of the Wild is still in motion, Skyward Sword HD, and Splatoon. That was pretty much it. And then we had this one. I don't think anything will ever outsell this Direct. I think this is the best Direct we've had in years. This is Bayonetta 4, and this was the Nintendo 64 games. This was the best Direct. And then did they have one at E3? They did. The E3 one was bad. E3 was bad. Okay. So let's review the material. Nintendo Direct. Let's review the evidence. I'm trying to find an article that has everything in it already. Hi, Ivy. Also, we have so many Stream Queens family in the chat today. I'm sorry, if you see a VIP badge, it usually means that they're a Stream Queens member. Please follow all of my amazing team members. We're all hardworking individuals. Please support queer, non-binary, trans, like everybody on the spectrum here on Twitch, because a majority of it, we get a lot of hate for being visibly queer and awesome and like really being awesome out here. So please do your part in just like hanging out and following these amazing creators. Please do. Okay, news. I guess we can just rewatch the video. So let's watch and review. I'll put it in 2x speed. We started out with the new Fire Emblem game, which was stunning. I would say this is one of the better games we got this Direct. I mean, it's not like a huge title, but it's a step in the right direction for Fire Emblem games. Like, if there's gonna be a story with the Fire Emblem 3 Houses cast, I'm gonna play it, and a lot of the people that like the cast are gonna enjoy it. So I think it's gonna be a good title. I don't think it's gonna be as popular as the other games, but considering that Fire Emblem 3 Houses is the most popular game in the Chinese market right now, is like, it's gonna be a hot seller. So, what the fuck is this? Nobody moved. Then it was Mario Strikers, that was the next game. So far we have Fire Emblem and Mario Strikers. So, 2 big titles, I would say, for longtime fans of good series. I would say this is pretty solid. Who am I kidding? This is the seller of the Direct. This is probably the best thing of the Direct. Do we agree? Do we disagree? I think Birdo's in it, but she's a backup character, because in the original, she's a backup character. Did they say if this is going to be online or not? We got Splatoon 3 news, which is awesome. Exciting. Deep Throat Kirby we got. Lots of, like, space games. Space mech games. We got a lot of space mech games. We got a Star Wars game, we got a mech game, we got a Gundam game, we got Assassin's Creed. Lots of, like, straight boy games, I would say. Like, totally love if you're queer and like these games, but they're very, like, received well with, like, the straight boy audience. So, I mean, cool. Not my favorite. Don't even think these are gonna sell great because they're all on different systems that are already selling hot. Like, these are all on, like, PC, they're all on PS4, they're on PS Now, they're everywhere else, so it's not really a win, I would say. This is a seller. So we got Fire Emblem, this game, Chrono Cross, and Strikers. This is solid. I would play this off stream. I don't like playing JRPGs on stream because they take forever, but this looks solid. Like, this looks like a really fun game, a nice JRPG remake. So I would say this is one of the standouts. We got Kirby news, which is pretty epic because Kirby comes out in a month, so it was nice to see news about Kirby. I would say that was another standout. This was pathetic. What the fuck was this? Who the fuck is gonna buy a baseball Show 22 game on the Switch? Go outside and throw the ball at the wall. Go play wall ball. Go to, like, daycare. What the fuck? Bye. This is a standout. Does anybody else know Klonoa? Did no one else play these as a kid? Am I the only person that played these? This, like, series, the Klonoa series, is so good. It's such a cute 2D platformer. It's like a 2D, 3D platformer. It looks fun. We will definitely be streaming this. Did they give us a release date, or did they just say it's getting ported? They didn't give us a release date. Why is Portal... Like, what? Okay. Like I said about the sports game, like, Portal is already on every system and already really cheap, so why would you buy it for the Switch? I find it very odd. Let me see what Ava said. Ava had a good point. This would be a 6 out of 10. It wasn't bad, but I wasn't that impressed. I would totally agree. This is another standout. So we got 5 standouts. We got Chrono Cross, Mario Strikers, Wii Sports, kind of, Klonoa, and Fire Emblem. So I would say those are the 5 standouts. I don't think there's anything else. I think, like, obviously Xenoblade is a standout, but cool. And then Mario Kart. Okay, yeah, let's be generous. This is probably an 8 out of 10 direct. This is a pretty good direct. As much as I hate that they're not making a new Mario Kart game, this is pretty solid to keep the game alive. But seriously, why the fuck another DLC? Like, this game already has so much DLC. I would have just put this in a new game. I don't know. I find it very strange. As much as, like, okay, totally understand. If it's a new game, we're gonna have to pay $60 for it. But I would have liked just, like, a step in the right direction for the franchise. Because this is gonna have the same mechanics as Mario Kart 8 with the upside-down Kirby shit that everybody is tired of because we've been playing it for the last 7, 8, 9 years on the same ports and the consoles. So, like, it's kind of tired. Also, I don't want to open the game again. Like, I've literally opened this game for the last fucking decade. I don't want to open it again. I want to move on. You know, you gotta move on with your life. You gotta keep moving. You gotta keep changing. You gotta keep doing different things. A decade old and we're still releasing DLC, I find very strange. Very bizarre. Definitely a win, though, for people with light wallets, because I am one of those people, and it's only going to be $24 to get all of these tracks. Stunning, but, like, I would have liked Double Dash 2, I would have liked a remake of an old game into HD graphics. I know that sounds strange because they do that already, but, like, if they made Mario Kart 64 in, like, completely HD with the original 8 and made it like a $30 game, I'd buy it. I'm not even lying to you. I would buy it. So yeah, I mean, Xenoblade 3 definitely a serve. I tried playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I don't know if anybody wants to sit with me in a Discord call and walk me through it because I have it and I spent money on it and would like to enjoy it, but it's very hard. So I would like to understand that. I think the DLC confirms Nintendo Kart. See, I would say so too. So, okay, here's my dissection. Let me just put this on the screen at like a random, so we could just have something on the screen while I talk. Here's my dissection of the Direct. First of all, we have to assess the elephant in the room. These are the only games for the first half of the year. So we're gonna get another Direct, I would say September. And it's gonna lead into holiday season. Maybe earlier than September. E3, probably E3. We're gonna get more games in summer to early August, September. So all of these games coming out like super soon. So before this was even presented, like I was discussing this with people. I know I couldn't get on earlier because like I was sleeping all day and I had to get ready. So we didn't get really to have like prep before the stream, but
ooh, my coffee enema is kicking in.
I'm gonna say it now. They weren't gonna release anything that wasn't a remake or brand new in my eyes, or wasn't already almost done, because it has to release in the first half of this year. Besides Xenoblade, all of these games are coming out early, so they couldn't really like release like Bayonetta 4. I know that's like doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean? Like they couldn't release anything that's like brand spanking new. Like they couldn't do like new Mario Kart or new, because if that were the case, they need to mail out the assets and they need to market the game, and a marketing strategy, only having 3 months to market your game and selling out all of the games and marketing it to everywhere and getting the banners and IRL stuff and all that shit isn't smart. So they weren't gonna release anything that's brand fucking new. This is okay because it's a remake. You know what I'm saying? I might be talking out of my ass, but I'm trying to dissect the stream so it makes sense. So that's just how I saw it. I definitely do agree that there are big projects in the works for Nintendo. Like, I definitely think there's a big thing coming for either E3 or late this year, because this really limits what they have to release and work on. So people have been asking for a new sports game for Mario. We got it. People have been asking for Kirby news. We got it. People have been asking for a new Xenoblade. We got it. People have been asking for like a Wii Sports type of game. We got it. People have been asking for Mario Kart content. We got it. So like, there's definitely something that they're working on that they haven't announced that they're gonna craft and sell for holiday season that isn't Bayonetta. And what else are we waiting for? Whatever they're waiting for. I hope that all makes sense. I'm talking out of my ass. So I would say it's pretty solid. Oh, speaking of, okay, got you. I think this year we will get a GameCube expansion pack. See, I want to believe that, and I would love to see that happening. In my mind, I don't think it will, and I pray that it doesn't, because I bought a fucking GameCube to play GameCube games, but I'm not too mad if they do, because I like playing obscure GameCube games, like fucking Rocket Power, the old Nickelodeon show. So like, I won't be that upset if they do it, because they're probably gonna only do like very popular GameCube games. I don't think that's gonna happen though, because I think they're really working on the 2, and if they put more than 2, people are gonna get mad that they're not putting as much content into the 2 than the 3. I think Nintendo Kart is more likely, or Mario Kart Double Dash 2, or something good with Mario Kart. Because I completely agree, that's a great fucking point. Like, them releasing DLC means there is definitely a new Mario Kart in the works. Because they would have just shown it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would have done it. So I think that's definitely possible for next year. I don't think we're getting it this year, though. Which is fine, I guess, with the new carts, but whatever. This was bizarre, what the fuck? But yeah, I mean, that's my review of the Nintendo Direct. I'm live here on the scene. Here at Nintendo. I had a great time. We are gonna play some stuff. Stream is not over, but that is the first part of our stream today. Thanks for joining me. This was lovely. As I would rate this, I would rate it an 8. I'd rate it a strong 7.8/8 out of 10. We got 6 major titles out of a short little direct that came out yesterday for early this year. I'm pleasantly surprised because last year, at the beginning of the year, we got nothing. We got nothing. Yeah, I would say like strong 7.5, 8. But most of that is coming from I'm a Klonoa stan, so, and a Fire Emblem stan, so might change if you're not, but I'd say it was a 12 out of 10, but 4 points just because you hosted it. Who's keep being nice to me, see what happens. Thank you for doing this. You're welcome. I love doing these. These are my favorite fucking times on stream. I have a fucking blast doing this. I hope that this year brings lots of new presentations, lots of new opportunities for myself hosting. I would love to bring this to a new light and do new things with it. We've done it last year. It was our amazing New Year's resolution was to host all of the presentations. We're gonna keep it going. I don't feel like it's I feel like it's counterproductive to go back and not continue doing these because I think it's a great success and I love hanging out with y'all and seeing our live reactions together. But hopefully this year will bring some new great opportunities. I would love to. I love Fire Emblem Three Houses. I mean, I have to do the last route on it, so I've been thinking of doing it on stream, but we do have to work on... We're working on Borderlands for the Borderlands. I don't think we're going to be able to finish the Kirby games. I think I'm just going to play bits and pieces of Kirby games before Kirby comes out. Oh, broken nail. And then, because we're going to play this, it comes out the same day Tiny Tina does. And Majora's Mask when that fucking decides to come out. But I think, honestly, for the rest of the month, we're going to be playing some obscure games, some funny games, some quirky games. After we finish Pokemon or Ass. I might even play a quirky game today, honestly. I'm not really sure, but we don't really have a lot planned for this month. We have some cute opportunities and sponsored streams. If y'all come out to them, I would really appreciate it. Some really cool ones. But yeah, I mean, my schedule for the next couple months is my birthday stream. Would love to have y'all at my birthday stream. 24 hours, uncapped subathon. Gonna do it. It's gonna be amazing. And the games you can see from me in the next couple months: Majora's Mask, Tiny Tina Wonderlands, Kirby, Pokemon. Yeah. When's the birthday stream? March 11th. My birthday's on March 11th. I'm gonna do the birthday stream on my birthday. I'm gonna do all my birthday celebrations before, so I can do like an actual birthday stream. Okay, we're posing for the thumbnail. That's a Friday. Is my birthday really on a Friday? Serve. I'm posing for the thumbnail. March 11th, mark your calendars or else. Yeah, I'm gonna be sleeping on stream. I'm gonna like take my hair off and everything if we can get some goals, but it's gonna be stunning. So I'm actually, before we jump into a game, this hair is very uncomfortable and I know it looks ridiculous and silly, but I wanted to do something different for the presentation. I am going to change in just a minute to something a little more comfortable. I'm gonna slip into something a little more comfortable. And we are going to get going on maybe a new game, maybe something? I don't know. Ooh. Ring almost just killed me. Nice, Harming. Solid. Thank you. I mean, I bought this to do... I actually got different earrings with it, but I wanted to go with like silver because the rings that I found. These are actually my mom's rings. Right, Goose? Like, where is that? Honestly, I have no idea if it would. So what do we want to play today? I'm not really, I'm a little Pokemon'd out. I kind of want to, like, play a little something a little different. I'm not really sure what. We'll figure it out when I come back from my break. I'm gonna switch my wig. I'm gonna change my outfit a little more. And I'll be back in, like, 10 minutes with, a stream. I tweeted about Majora's, literally, like, what the fuck? Play VHS when I get home. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'm gonna go change because this is like my head is so big I can't even like think right now. Oh my god. But yeah, I'll be back in like 10 minutes. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a new outfit, a new look, and we'll play some video games.